some questions and some news at the end. So, Julian, come on.
Alrighty, so my name is Julia Thomson and I am a chiropractor at Inaligned Chiropractic and Health. So it's just down the road at Thomson Street, and I work with a really wonderful team. So I'm very fortunate to have 4 chiropractors, including myself, 4 massage therapists, 2 acupuncturists, a naturopath, a nutritionist and a counsellor. So it's a really wonderful team environment that I'm in. So what we're going to talk about today is defining health. What is a subluxation? A word that probably not many of you have heard before. And where does chiropractic fit into your healthcare? So just take a moment to think about what is health to you. So what you might think is health to you could be quite different to the person sitting next to you. So it's often based around what we value in life and the things that we find important, what our hobbies are. So for some it's eating nice, healthy, lots of vegetables, eat a rainbow every day, 5+ a day, all of those sorts of things. Good fuel in, good energy out. For others it might be doing a lot of exercise, being fit, healthy and strong. And for others it might be aging gracefully and being able to do the things that you want to do with your grandchildren and in your old age. So the World Health Organization defines health as a state of complete physical, mental, social well-being and not merely the absence of disease. So I really like this definition because it says there that it's not merely the absence of disease, so it's more than just not being sick. So this is a little overview of how the body works. So for you to have optimum health, total well-being and peak performance, your body chemistry has to be firing absolutely perfectly. So your cells, organs and glands need to be sending those right messages to the body so that they can release the right hormones at the right levels at the right time. And this is all controlled by the nervous system. So your nervous system supplies every single organ, every single tissue and every single muscle in the body. So your lungs to breathe, your heart to pump your blood and your stomach to digest. So you can see here a little bit that the complexity of the nervous system and how coming through the spinal cord it innervates all of those organs. So it's about connecting the brain and the body together, so how we sense our environment and respond to it. So back to the subluxation word. So it's a really key concept in chiropractic. When there is a misalignment in the spine, because of the close anatomy between the spine and the spinal cord, if there's a misalignment in the spine, it can affect the way that the nervous system functions. And we call this a subluxation. So misalignment in the spine, altered nerve function. Alrighty? So we were once healthy, our glands were doing everything, nervous system working perfectly, and then you can't quite see it, but here it says subluxation. Alright? And so then the nervous system, it isn't sending the right signals to the right organs and glands at the right time. So they're not releasing the right hormones at the right time. So then the body chemistry is altered, which results in compromised health, well-being and performance. So what causes these subluxations? So we have 3 main stresses that cause and contribute to subluxation. So the most obvious one is physical stress. One of the greatest traumas any one of us will go through is actually childbirth. And then of course you've got your falls, your injuries, sporting injuries, those sorts of things, which can cause these misalignments in the spine. Then there's the mental stresses. So if you're stressed at work, if you're stressed at home, this is all going to manifest physically in your body. And then lastly, you've got chemical stresses. I don't know if anyone else has ever encountered a donut burger before, but that's what I found there and thought that was stunning. And so if you're eating lots of preservatives, lots of chemicals, lots of colouring, then you're putting garbage in, you're going to get garbage out. So the role of the chiropractor is to locate these subluxations and remove them from the system. And our goal is to get that nervous system back up and running and firing on all cylinders. How we do that is called an adjustment. So there's a number of different techniques which we use, and so every person's different, and what techniques we use with any one individual varies a lot. So we're back to this story. We were once healthy and body chemistry was great, cells and organs doing their thing, nervous system firing on all cylinders. Then we were subluxated, then the nervous system wasn't functioning, and then the cells, organs and glands weren't functioning properly either, and therefore releasing the wrong levels of hormones at the wrong times, and then we had compromised health, well-being and performance. And then we have the chiropractic adjustment. Okay? And then the nervous system is back online, the cells, organs and glands are functioning as they should, and therefore our hormone levels balance out. And this all leads to improved health, well-being and performance. So we're all about enabling the body to heal. The body wants to heal itself, it has an innate ability to heal itself, and we just want to enable it to do it at its best. So less stress equals a happy, healthier life. And that is what chiropractic is all about. Alright? And that's me.
Last year.
How much do you talk about diet when you talk to your clients, patients?
So as a chiropractor, my first and foremost is to look at the spine. But I do a lot of home advice sort of stuff. I look at people's diet. Water is usually a really big thing that I need to reintroduce into people's daily habits. But I do discuss diet a fair amount. Often there's a little bit of a difference between what people perceive to be healthy and what has developed over the years and not necessarily been put forward in the media, so that people realise that things have changed, nutrition has evolved. So I do a bit of nutritional advice in there as well, yeah. Thank you.
In my mind, chiropractic is sort of this matrix of philosophy and has its culture. How do you reconcile chiropractic with a scientific methodology where you look at various ways of doing treatments or and get rid of the placebo effect and measure in two groups of people having the same treatment with some dumb treatment that got done in the sense of mock treatment, and line those up and look at the outcomes? Is that done in your discipline?
Absolutely, yeah. So I was actually working in the New Zealand College of Chiropractic Research Department for about 5 years, and so we call it a sham adjustment. Unfortunately, there is a level of understanding of chiropractic, and therefore sometimes you know if you're getting a real adjustment or a sham adjustment, but it is still input into the body, and so it is tough to remove that placebo effect in chiropractic, but that is one way that we do it. Another way is we have controls where they don't have anything at all. So normally there'll be 4 groups. There'll be the control, the sham, and no, 3 groups, and the adjustment group. And so they'll have the different intervention. Often the person who's recording the data, which was usually me, will be out of the room and I won't know which one we've got. And then of course I go away and then analyse that. So that's how we try to remove bias as well. So that's how we sort of approach that in chiropractic.
And where's chiropractic publishing?
So we've got a lot of stuff in JMPT, Journal of Manipulative Therapy and Physiological Therapy. There has actually been some stuff submitted to the Top Neurology Journal from the New Zealand College of Chiropractic. There's also the Australian Research Fund, which has a journal. What's that one called? I can't think of it right now, but if you want to pop me your email address or something like that, I can pop these off to you so you can have a look at it if that's helpful.
In about, I think it was October, November, they had a 3-day chiropractic event in the city for about the 3rd year they've run this earthquake recovery mode. Is that continuing on or last year?
Yeah, so that's Heal Christchurch. It started off with a specific technique, so there's a neuro-emotional technique in chiropractic, and because of all the stress post-quake, that group of people who practiced that technique reached out, and because it was such a success the first year, they just said, everybody come on board, let's get Christchurch back on their feet again. And so that's how it's grown from there, and I suspect they probably will have another one.
It was a very good introduction to people who hadn't been to that kind of service before. Come and try it.
Absolutely, yeah.
How do you know if you've got a supplement session?
So that's the thing.
You just say it first.
Please go ahead.
So often you can have subluxation without even knowing it. For most of the population, once you've had chiropractic, you look back and go, how did I ever cope without this sort of thing? So often you don't realise that you have it until you don't have it, and then you have it again, if you understand where I'm going with that one. They can also cause symptoms like pain, swelling, redness, those sorts of things. Those are the more blatant indicators there, and because it's involving the nervous system, there can be effects elsewhere. So it could be respiratory stuff, it could be further on down the chain, it could be wrist, elbow coming from the neck sort of thing, because that's where all that nerve supply comes from. So a chiropractor knows if you've got a subluxation, I guess is what it comes down to there.
What's your
What is the optimal position to wear these day pants? Because my teenager is always wearing it way down here.
Yeah.
I always thought it was best up high, and I see all the young ones that kind of down low. What's the best thing? Like, give me one advice.
Well, I mean, the ultimate thing would be to have the waistband, because that takes a lot of the pressure off of the shoulder. That's the purpose of those hip straps. Somewhere in the middle, the most important thing is to have the heaviest item in the backpack closest to your back. So it's like centre of gravity. If you're holding something out here, you're going to find it hard to balance. If you've got something way back here, it's like being on a seesaw. You're going to find that really hard to hold up. So if you've got the heaviest things flat against your back, then it's going to be easier for you to function with the backpack on.
What's your percentage of patients that come for routine maintenance and prevention versus the pain is just so great that's the only thing kicking them in the door?
So that's usually what brings people in the first time, is that I can't function like this anymore. And it's usually once they've had the chiropractic care, once they see how different and how that improved function can affect their everyday life, that they start saying, I want to stay here, rather than waiting until I'm down here again and then doing all of this work again to get back to feeling good. So I'm just going to function here all the time. And that's when we get the maintenance and regular sort of care. So it's a pretty high percentage of people who go, okay, let's come in and see you. Less frequently than when I was struggling to live my life, but I want to keep it going.
And is that endorsed and therefore paid for by the bus system?
No. So it's highly recommended by most, if not all, chiropractors. But it is a personal. Basically, if you come in with an ACC claim, that gives you XYZ treatments depending on how many, what you've injured, how it's done, that sort of thing. And then after that, it is a personal cost.
You've got quite a few different practitioners obviously in your practice, which is great. For many people, it's really confusing to know who do I go to when I've got, like, say, back injury. Do I go to just a massage or a physio or an osteopath or a chiropractor? What would you say to recommend people? How would you help them to select that, or what would you say to make chiropractic the one that you'd recommend? Once that's your area.
So I think the beauty of what I have is that if I'm seeing someone and I think they could really benefit from a lot more muscle work, is I can go hop down the hallway, book you in with Jaden, I'll see you next week, sort of thing. And so that's the beauty of it. Sometimes you don't know what a person's going to respond best to until you've tried. And so that's why it is a growing sort of thing with each individual, because everybody's different. And so we all have even within chiropractic, you could put a chiropractor next to a chiropractor and they'd be totally different, and you wouldn't even realise they're the same profession, because there are so many techniques. So yes, it can be tough to know.
Try it out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So last question, Mr. Hibbel.
I always wanted to find out how you guys train. Do you have dummies to click through, or do you use real people?
Yeah, we use real people. We do have dummies as well, which is more about technique, making sure that your lines of drive are beautiful and perfect. So in our first year in our internship, for the first 6 months, we adjust only other students, and that's great because they're training too, and they can go, oh no, you need a little bit more of this, a little bit more of that, sort of thing. So that's how we do it, and then after that we see the public for another 2 years on top of that.
Thank you.